So it's a simple question. Should the close season be abolished? Does it need a rejig? Do we just need to change it, how it operates? Do we need to make it flexible? Let me know in the comments below. But let's just have a little chat and a few of my thoughts, because I must admit I'm not for or against either really, and I'm going to tell you why. Well, I'm out on the river today, and I've had a magnificent jug this morning, 6-pounder, beautiful fish, and just caught a 7-pounder recently as well. And I've spent at least one day a week, maybe quite often twice a week I've been visiting this river. Granted, some of it's at night in the dark, and other than a select handful of people that I'm friendly with, I never see a soul on the bank, not one. There's a couple of lads who fish further down the river, and it's the same few people that I see every single time. And my first point about the closed season is we can't moan about the closure if we don't actually fish the river when it's open. And it's something that I've been thinking about quite a lot recently. And yes, the rivers have been in flood a lot this winter, meaning that we can't get any sort of rhythm going with actually being on the river. Oh, might be getting a little indication on my rod. But that being said, I've fished this river now, certainly for 3 winters, and it's been the same. I see the same few people. There's no one here. And I can only speak of this river and the other river that I fish with chub, where I just never see a soul. And I'm thinking, well, we're all moaning that we can't get on the rivers, but even when it's in perfect condition, it cannot be better than it is today. There's nobody here. And the banks are fresh. There's only my footprints in the banks. And I just think that we can't really moan about the closed season if we don't actually fish the rivers when they're open. And I know match stretches are different. The Y and places like that are a little bit different because they get heavily match fished, and there's good areas where access is good. But there's miles and miles of rivers that just don't see an angler, and it's one of those frustrations when I see them people moaning about the closed season. But they don't actually fish the rivers anyway. But that being said, I can see the reason why you might think, yes, get rid of the closed season. I totally get it. It would do the industry good, meaning that we've got an extra few months of, well, no restrictions on when the people can fish the rivers, which I'm sure, especially those tackle shops that are near rivers, it could give them a massive boost. And I'm all for that. If that is going to help those tackle shops, then yep, massive. And I must admit, the closing the rivers on the grounds of spawning is also one of those, so I'm just keeping my eye on the tip, is one of those flawed arguments really, because the pike are spawning in February, as early as February. The perch are, I've been told, dace spawn at that kind of time of year. But then I've been on the river in July and seen chub and barbel spawning, so you've got this massive window of spawning. So you're closing the river on the grounds of spawning almost doesn't really sit well with me, because I think, well, we're on the river when fish are spawning anyway. The pike are spawning. You see that massive one that was caught at Chew the other week, full of spawn. You see those beautiful massive pike that have been coming out. You know, they're all full of spawn, as well as fish and stuff that they're eating, obviously. So we're catching them when they're spawning anyway. So I don't really get that. And then by the time the river opens, we're catching chub and barbel that have only just finished, or maybe haven't even started spawning yet. So having the river closed for spawning, just that seems like antiquated to me. So what would you say about, you know, why is it being closed then? So it's obviously the spawning argument, which I don't think is an argument anymore, because the rivers are left alone anyway. Mother Nature does its thing. The fish spawn when the conditions are right, the temperatures are right, which could be any time. We've had snow and stuff in April. Getting a few little taps on the rod end, so I'm keeping an eye on it. And then it's really frustrating because, yes, it'd be good to keep the tackle shops supported, and I'm all for that. But I would love to see a flexible close season, perhaps. I don't feel strongly either way that there should be a close season. I don't think that the close season is the reason why rivers are really good. I don't think taking it away would make them any worse, because, as I've said in the start, people aren't fishing the rivers anyway. So certainly the ones I'm fishing, they're not anyway. So how can the fishing get worse because no one's fishing it anyway? But it's one of those, isn't it? I'd love to see it gone. And so I was at the Big One show at the weekend. A few people said to me, "Oh, I bet you gutted the river's closing now. You've just caught a 7-pounder, and like today I've had a 6-pounder. And my last 3 fish have been over 6 pounds, which is wonderful." But like I said, I've been coming twice a week on this river since pretty much November. I've had my fishing. You know what I mean? It's time for me now to go on to still waters. It's time to get my match head back on. I've had my fishing. And I know I'm a unique case because I do both rivers and river fishing in a specimen style and match fishing, so I've got something nicey to go on to next. But I've had my fishing because I've made the effort to come. So I'm not that gutted that the river's closing, because I feel like, well, yeah, that's a nice line in the sand where I can then go and do my match fishing and get on with it and not have this niggling thing. Like when I'm on matches in the winter, I'm always thinking, is this the day when I could catch that massive chub? And so that's why I just end up coming here. And so that line in the sand, to have a proper break and then come back on it next winter, is nice for me. And I can only speak from my experience, and I've heard a few other people who are the other anglers who are fishing this river religiously are all saying the same thing. They're like, actually, we've had our fishing, it's time to have a bit of a break, try something else, maybe go tench fishing, bream fishing, whatever. So it's really, I know that, I want to know what you think. It's so many people, I'd say 80% of anglers probably want it gone, the close season that is. But I don't feel strongly either way, put it that way. I'm not one of these who is like, yes, we've got to get rid of it. Because I've seen enough evidence that anglers aren't really fishing the rivers anyway. Or certainly the ones like where I go. And I could go pretty much anywhere on the River Ouse or the Nene today, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to see that many people. You might see an odd lure angler, you might see a chub angler, you might see a pike angler, but there's certainly not going to be many people about, a handful. Whereas I'm sure if I went to a commercial, it's a nice day today, we've got a bit of sun out, it's warm. I'm sure if I went to a commercial today, there'd be anglers, and there'd be of all styles, pole anglers, float anglers. So what do you think about the close season? Should we get rid of it? Does it need changing? Do we need to do that flexible thing? My only thing with the flexible one, and I a while ago I thought that's the answer. Let's do a flexible close season. So when you see, and leave it to the clubs to decide, the controlling clubs to decide when the close season is for, or should I say, little spells where the river should be closed. So I had that when the chub are spawning, let's give it a close. When the barbel are spawning, let's close it. Maybe when they see some pike spawning, close it. My only issue with that is who's going to police it and who's going to actually make them decisions, because this is a massive long stretch of river, and to actually walk this daily to find out when the fish have triggered into spawning, that's a hell of a lot of work and a lot of manpower. I just can't see it ever being a thing, and it would just be another one of those situations where we're guessing a little bit. So yeah, no massive opinions from me, I've got to say. I'm quite happy to have the close season for me, because like I say, I like to have that line in the sand where I'm like, right, I can get on with something else now. However, I do feel sorry for the shops who rely on rivers for their business. I get that, and obviously as a match angler who is there's some really some match anglers that just do river fishing. I can think of quite a few. It must be very frustrating to get to a good time of year like now and then have to pull off. I get it, it's frustrating. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. But like I say, anyone who's into river fishing. The fundamental thing I want to say today is when the rivers are open, let's enjoy them. Let's get on the rivers. Let's do some river fishing because they're in great. There's a lot of great fishing to be had, and I know there's a lot of problems with sewerage and all that kind of thing, but there's some great fishing still to be had, and I think we need to make the most of it because who knows what's going to happen in the future. Let's make the most of these rivers while we've got them. Well, before the otters, before the sewerage, before God knows what ruins them forever. Let's just enjoy them. So when they're open, get on the rivers. Let's not fight about the close season. But I still want to know in the comments below what you think. Do you want it gone? Do you want it made flexible? Do you want to keep it the same? Let me know in the comments below because